Noah here for American Muscle. If you bought a 2015 and newer Mustang EcoBoost and you're in the market for a high-end and really aggressive sounding catback, then this Cobb V2 catback with polished tips for the 2015 and newer Mustang EcoBoost Fastback without the active exhaust is a perfect option for you to consider. Now, according to the site, this exhaust is going to be pretty loud, so we're giving it a 3 out of 5 on the Wake the Neighbor scale. There are some problems with stock exhausts. First of those being that they're way too quiet. There's a lot of mufflers and resonators and they have chambers in them that keep exhaust flow rate down, and ultimately they're gonna rob you of some power and torque as well as that awesome sound. Now, a lot of your car's character kind of gets squelched with a quiet exhaust, and the point of this catback is to set those wonderful exhaust sounds free. Now, this exhaust system from Cobb is designed to give a loud and aggressive sound with good turbo noise, but still be refined enough to take the edge off. This system does feature a resonator here on the Y pipe and 2 mufflers here at the end, but that's about it. And then to finish everything off, this system does have dual polished tips, which are gonna look really great. And on top of that, you can use this with the stock 2.5-inch downpipe or Cobb's 3-inch downpipe. You can kind of mod as you go with this adapter. Looking at the construction of this Cobb system, we do have some pretty awesome features going on. All the piping from the downpipe to where the Y splits is 3, and then it's 2.5 dual all the way back to the tips. And everything here is mandrel bent, which means there aren't any ribs in the bends that could prohibit exhaust flow and rob you of power. All the piping is 304 stainless steel, so it's not going to corrode or rust, and it's going to last you a really long time. Now, the tips here at the back are both 4 inches in diameter, and they're actually T304 stainless as well, so they're not gonna rust either, and they're gonna stay looking very nice. This whole system comes in around $1,300, and this catback from Cobb is one of the higher priced options out there, but it's going to be one of the highest quality exhausts available for your EcoBoost Mustang. It's that time that we move on to the install. We're looking at an install time of about 2 hours and a difficulty that falls at 2 out of 3 wrenches. And we've all been there, and it's definitely feasible to get this exhaust installed at home on your driveway. You don't need a lift. And the nice thing is you don't need a welder either, because this entire system bolts right up. Next, I'm gonna hand you over to one of our installers, and they'll walk you through the whole process of getting this thing bolted on.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun or a ratchet, a 13mm socket, a 15mm socket, 2 14mm wrenches, some spray lubricant, some brake cleaner, and a clean cloth. Hi everyone, today we're installing an exhaust on our Mustang, but first, let's watch a short video on how to uninstall the stock system.
Now, your obvious first step here, guys, is to lift and support your car, whether it be on jack and jack stands, or in this case, a lift. Now, with the car up in the air, we're gonna start by removing the 2 13mm bolts, securing these brackets back here towards the rear of the car. Now we can move up to our clamp here that secures our factory catback to our downpipe and loosen these 2 15mm nuts here. We don't have to remove them all the way. We just want to make sure we can loosen those enough to loosen this clamp up. So now with our forwardmost clamp loosened up, we're going to grab a buddy here, and what we're gonna do is get the exhaust off of the brackets here that secure it to the rear subframe, drop the front of the catback itself, and then at that point we can slide the rear of the factory catback out of these hangers.
Now we need to transfer these middle hangers here from our original system to our new system. And to do that, we're just going to slide these off the hangers here. Now when you put these onto the new system, you want to make sure that this hook at the top of the hanger is facing towards the front of the vehicle when you put it onto the new system. That way it'll hook into the hanger on the subframe the way it's supposed to. Now we'll go ahead and put these on our new system. All right, this install of the exhaust is going to be a little different than most exhaust systems because normally when you install a new exhaust system, you start from the front and work your way back. This one, we're actually going to start from the rear and move our way forward. First thing we're going to do is transfer the two hangers that came off of this cross member here behind this differential to the new exhaust system. And to do that, I highly recommend that you use some spray lubricant, not only on this hanger, but on the one that's still on the vehicle here at the rear next to the tip. So just spray a little lube inside both hangers. And then we can go ahead and place this on the new system. So we just put that on the front hanger here, on the exhaust, making sure, of course, that this hook is facing towards the flange or the front of the vehicle. Now with that done, we can go ahead and insert the rear hanger onto the vehicle, and then we'll hang this one on the cross member behind the differential. Slide that in and then get that hung up. And we're just going to insert the bolt that we took out for that hanger just to make sure that we've got adequate support for our system. Now we can do the same thing on the other side. Our next step is going to be to install this adapter flange to the original exhaust pipe here using the supplied bolts and nuts that come with the kit. We're not going to tighten anything down just yet until we get everything all hooked up. So we're just going to slide this in, and now we can hook everything together with our final pipe. Now we can go ahead and install our Y pipe using the supplied gasket. Now there are 3 gaskets in this kit. 2 of them are the smaller and they're the same size, and then this one is the larger. So the largest gasket is what's going to go between this flange and the Y pipe flange. Now you also want to make sure that the logo is facing so that you can actually read it and it's not upside down. We'll install one of our bolts into the flange. And then with our gasket in between the two, we'll go ahead and put one of the nuts on. Now, like I said, we're not tightening anything down yet. This is just to hold everything in place until we get it all hooked up. Now with our Y pipe in place, we can go ahead and place our 2 gaskets on the rear flanges here in between the Y pipe and the tailpipe. And we'll go ahead and put the bolts in that are supplied in the kit to hold everything together. Now that we've got all of our pipes connected to each other, we can go ahead and start tightening everything up. And again, like before, we're going to start from the rear and tighten up the flanges in the rear. And then we're going to save these 2 hangers to tighten up for the very last so that we can adjust the spacing of our mufflers and our tips coming out of the back. So you're going to need 2 14mm wrenches in order to tighten these up. And you do want to make sure that you tighten them up evenly. Now, and lastly, we're going to tighten up the clamp from our original stock exhaust. And to tighten this clamp up, we're going to be using our 15mm socket. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and double check our alignment in the back, make sure the tips are where we want them to be. Once we've got those settled, then we'll go ahead and tighten up the 2 hangers behind the differential. All right, so we've double checked our alignment, everything is good. So now we'll go ahead and tighten up these 2 hangers here. Using our 13mm socket. One last thing before you actually fire it up and start driving it down the road, you want to make sure that you use some brake cleaner and a clean cloth to go over the entire system and make sure that you wiped off any fingerprints that may be on the system, because if you don't, they will, once the system gets hot, those fingerprints will burn into the system and be permanent. So make sure that you spray some brake clean on your cloth and just go over the whole system and make sure that you remove any fingerprints that may have gotten on there during the install. And that wraps up our review and install of the Cobb V2 catback exhaust with polished tips for 15 and newer Mustang EcoBoost Fastback without active exhaust. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.